A Fox News alert, and the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi of California, says she does not have the votes to pass the Senate version of the health care bill. It gets a little bit complicated, but there had been discussions of this possibility. The House would perhaps pass the bill that has already passed in the Senate, and then it would be signed into law by the President. Then, using a process called reconciliation, which is really a budget process, the Senate would go back and sort of tweak the bill. If they did it that way, Democrats in the Senate would not need the 60 votes that they currently need. They would only need a majority vote, simple majority of 51 votes. It would be a way to escape the complications that have been raised by the election of a Republican, Scott Brown of Massachusetts, to Democrat Senator Ted Kennedy's former seat. At any rate, Nancy Pelosi says not going to happen. She doesn't have the votes in the House. Let's talk about it now with former Virginia Governor George Allen. He's a Republican who also served in the House and the Senate. Also with us, former Democratic Senator Dennis DeConcini of Arizona. He was chairman of the Intelligence Committee and a member of the Appropriations Committee. Senator DeConcini, to you first, does this surprise you? Nancy Pelosi seems to be throwing in the towel on passing the Senate bill.
Well, yes, it doesn't surprise me. The House had some real strong objections. I've been in touch with a number of House members to the Senate bill, and I'm not surprised. And I don't think it'd be a good idea for the Democrats to try to do that, because it would be interpreted as a in-run, skirting the people's will of the recent election. And Scott, you do have the rules down very good. Congratulations on
yeah, I don't think I explained it very well.
How it works there. No, you did excellent. Well, and as Governor Allen knows so well, our political system goes back and forth. Republicans had a disaster a little over a year ago, and Democrats had a minor, maybe a major disaster yesterday. And you pick up the pieces and you put together what you can. And I'm sure that's what the Democrats are going to attempt to do, and then the Republicans are going to have to decide whether or not they want to play or not. And that's our system. I don't always like it, but it works.
Yeah. Governor Allen, or Senator Allen, as the case may be, I know you served in both the House and the Senate, as was mentioned earlier. I'm old enough to remember when Democrats were going to pass this health care bill by last August. What happened?
Well, what happened is the American people rose up. They were riled up. They were stirred up. They didn't like the higher taxes, the dictates, the unfunded mandates on the states, as well as higher premiums. And so you saw it in Virginia. You saw it in New Jersey. Clearly, a message was sent from Massachusetts. And what the American people want is actually an opportunity to have more affordable, personal, and portable insurance rather than dictates and mandates from the federal government and higher premiums. And so when they're in this falderall trying to figure out what to do, what they have in this monstrous health care measure of the government takeover is like a bad stew. And they're trying to figure out, gosh, if we take out one of the carrots here and put in some parsnips or some celery or some turnips, it is rancid. It's a rancid stew. It needs to be dumped out. And they need to start over again with ideas that empower individuals as opposed to having them dependent on a government and spending trillions of dollars that we don't have and adding to our burgeoning deficit.
Senator Discons,
yeah, but Scott,
you go ahead.
Yeah, but Scott, I appreciate Governor Allen's approach to it of throwing it out, but that's not leadership. What you try to do is you make something that will work, and you try to bring the other party aside. Obviously, the Democrats failed in that area. But to start all over, our country has 16% of its GDP goes to health. In all other industrial countries, major countries, our allies and partners economically and non-economically, it's between 8 and 10%. 20% a year, our health care costs go up. Now, nobody can say that it works, and so it's broken. Now, the Democrats attempted to fix it. It didn't get fixed. So what do? Do we just let it go? I think it's now going to be the burden of the Republicans to try to come up with something, because they have offered nothing, absolutely nothing, except no's. Well, the Democrats couldn't pull them over, so they need to make some changes.
Governor Allen, let me ask you.
Dennis, look, give us the ball, and I think there are a lot of good ideas of making sure that folks have major medical coverage, They expand health savings accounts that are personal, they're portable. It's much more affordable, allow more competitions where people can shop for insurance across state lines. The Republicans and conservatives have a lot of good ideas, and that's where we can start and see if we can find some Democrats to agree with it.
Yeah, that was my point. Don't both sides seem to agree? At least, you know, the majorities that selling insurance across state lines would be a good thing, and removing pre-existing conditions as an impediment to insurability. Don't both sides agree on those two things?
Well, Scott, I think that's where we have to start. And maybe Governor Allen and I will agree what the Democrats ought to do, in my judgment, if they call me up, which they won't, but if they call me up, I would say take the bill apart, part by part, and see what you can pass here. And if pre-existing passes, insurance across state line passes, some limitation on the insurance company's fees, then see if it passes. If it passed that will be the reform. If it doesn't, then it won't happen, at least not in this Congress.
One of the arguments that I hear, Governor Allen, often from, I guess, mostly the Democratic side of the aisle, is that, you know, we've worked on this thing for 8 or 9 months. It's been a tremendous heavy lift. We can't just stop now. Well, can you? I mean, is there any reason to press forward?
Well, the only people who seem to really like what they passed in the Senate and the House are those people in Washington who voted for it. Clearly, folks out in the real world don't think much of it. That's why I'm not saying give up on health care reform. Health care does need to be reformed, but it has to be undergirded with certain principles.
Governor Allen, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the President of the United States takes priority. Senator DeConcini, Governor Allen, thank you.